Testing. Okay. Good evening and welcome to tonight's Monroe City Council meeting. This is a regular business meeting for Tuesday, December 12th, 2023. The time right now is 7 p.m. I'm going to ask that Ms. Wyckoff please call the roll.
Thank you, Mayor. Council present and establishing a quorum are Councilmember Fulcher, Kinney, Hanford, our esteemed Davis, Gamble, Fisher, and Scarborough.
Thank you. Councilmember Davis, will you please lead us in the pledge? I pledge my allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Councilmember. Do we have a citation? Okay, we do have a need for an executive session here at the beginning of the meeting this evening. This is potential litigation we're going to start over. This is potential litigation pursuant to RCW 42.30.110, subsection 1, subsection little I. The initial time period will be for 10 minutes beginning at 7:01 p.m. There will be action to follow. Obviously, we've got a full agenda ahead of us. Any sort of extensions that may need to occur will be announced here in chambers and also online. And again, we're going into executive session now for an initial 10 minutes, now beginning at 7:02 p.m. Thank you.
Executive session has been extended 10 minutes. Executive session has been extended 3 minutes.
We're good. All right, we're back out of executive session. For our audience here, I thank you very much for your patience this evening. Councilmember Hanford.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to add an item, agenda item for tonight's meeting.
Okay, I have a motion to add an agenda item to tonight's meeting from Councilmember Hanford, a second from Councilmember Fulcher. Could I get clarification that you'd like to add this before item 4, which is special order of business? Oh, no, it's already, okay, never mind. We didn't need to add an item to the agenda. Okay. So if you'd like to withdraw it, it's already on the agenda.
I'll withdraw.
Okay. All right, we have firstly and secondly withdrawn. It is on the agenda. Special order of business, item 4.1, resolution amending council rules of procedure. Councilmember Hanford, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to limit oral public comment to in-person comment only for all city public meetings, including city council and all city boards, commissions until further notice.
Second.
Okay, thank you. I have a motion from Councilmember Hanford, a second from Councilmember Gamble. As shown as motion 2 on the screen, to limit oral public comment to in-person comment only for all city public meetings, including city council and all city boards and commissions until further notice. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you, everybody. All right, next item on the agenda is item 5, public comments. And so I turn to our clerk to see if anybody has signed in to speak. Thank you. All right, thank you very much. All right, the first person who signed up to speak this evening is Sean Mike, I think.
Miller, sorry.
Miller, okay.
I went to school to be a doctor and handwriting.
It's okay. So if you just state your name for the record and association with the city of Monroe or area of residence, I'd appreciate it. And then go ahead. You've got 3 minutes. Let's put the timer up though. Sorry.
Absolutely. Sean Miller, Residence is Sammamish, Washington. And purpose is we hold the 2 retail cannabis licenses for the city of Monroe.
Go ahead.
So first, I'd like to thank yourself, Mayor, and council members for allowing me to speak. I'm Sean Miller. I'm the founder of Origins Cannabis. We have locations in Redmond and in West Seattle. We've been operating in the state of Washington for 8 years now. We, as I said before, we have the 2 licenses here in Monroe that we've been holding since, I believe, 2020 or 2018, waiting for Monroe to either change the ordinance or change the zoning to allow us to open up a retail establishment here. A little bit of background. I grew up in Olympia. I was actually kind of the beta trial for DARE, if you guys remember that. Kind of dates me a little bit. But it instilled a lot of fear and paranoia around drugs in general and alcohol and everything else. And it wasn't until really my 40s until I was able to kind of shake that. And it happened with a couple of family members getting cancer and dealing with some, emotional issues through that. And I was finding that the typical medical system just wasn't able to handle some of the ailments that they had and some of the things that they were dealing with. So through research, I found CBD, started to investigate the endocannabinoid system and how cannabis interacts with that. And I found that there was actually some really good things that could happen by consuming cannabis in the right way. And so through that, this was kind of happening as I-502 was being passed in 2014. And a little bit of like background on myself. I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I've started and sold many companies over the years. In 2014, I was exiting my last one, and I-502 passed, and I said, "Hey, this is something that I'm really passionate about, something I want to spend some time on." So that's when we started Origins. Some of the things about Origins, when we came into the space, we wanted a space that you'd be proud to take your parents into, proud to take your grandparents into, even with that stigma. So they're not the dark, shady, things that you would kind of think of out there. It's a very clean, very Northwest type of feel. And we wanted it to be like any other shopping experience so that people could experience cannabis in a new way. There's really 4 main reasons why I think Monroe should consider opening up for retail cannabis. One, having a state licensed cannabis store helps reduce the need for black market. Black market products are what you're finding being sold in your schools. They're usually the products that you find kids having. And the real danger in this is that black market products are the ones that are generally laced with other products. Most predominantly right now, it's fentanyl. And so
And I'm really sorry, but your time is up.
Okay.
So we need to adhere to our time.
Okay.
So thank
Well,
you. If you've got any written comments, you can certainly send them in.
Okay, great. I
Yep.
appreciate the opportunity.
Yep,
Thank
thank you. Next person who we have who signed up to speak is Sarah Morgan. So if you please come forward and just state your name and association with the city for the record, and then we'll start the 3-minute timer. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sarah Morgan. I'm a resident of Monroe and the co-executive director at Take the Next Step, Monroe's Family Resource Center. So it's good to be here. It's full crowd tonight. We are here just to chat a little bit about mental health. We are so lucky to have been granted one of Monroe's 2nd round ARPA funds for mental health last year for individual mental health. And we are just about through those dollars. And so I'd like to give just a little overview of that and how we've done it and some stats. And then I've got some friends here that are going to share a little bit more about their personal experiences. But so our initial grant was $39,000 specifically to go toward the individual mental health therapy. We were able to then get a grant match through Snohomish County for an additional $18,500. So we had about $57,000 that we've been able to put directly toward these individual sessions. And we have built partnerships with a handful of practitioners that are doing that work for us. And so Take the Next Step has been able to be the liaison for these referrals and pay them. But we've got Holly McCallum, Christina Harpster, and Rosie DePrado of their own practices that have been seeing these individuals and families for their mental health. And we've also had an MOU previously with the school district to really help do direct student referrals into care. And so this is for families that are not able to access mental health on their own or through their private insurance. And so we've been able to pay for that. We give an initial 10 sessions to the individual or the family, and then we are able to extend if there is need for that family and we don't want to just drop them out of care. We've had great opportunities with the SSAs and the counselors at the schools who see the families and the students in their greatest need and can send them those referrals. Great full circle moments are when the counselors are seeing those families, they recognize a need, they send them right back to the resource center where we're able to cover other needs, financial assistance, et cetera. So of the money that we have received, it's either been spent or it has been earmarked for an individual already. But at the completion of these dollars, we'll have had over 900 sessions of free mental health, 100 referrals through the resource center or school district, over 70 families, which represent about 250 individuals. And 28 of those were extreme cases that needed extensions. And so it's already been quite a big need in this community that's been filled. So thank you very much for your involvement in that and supporting our most vulnerable and even some of our youngest. So we would love your continued engagement with us as we work through this, and I will hand it off to some more stories.
Thank you. Next person who signed up to speak is Sarah Lundstrom. Please come forward and state your name and association with the city of Monroe or your place of residence. Thank you.
I'm Sarah Lundstrom and I live here in Monroe, and I'm also the co-executive director at Take the Next Step, your nonprofit family resource center. And so I think many of you have heard me say that the intensity and urgency of the situations families are dealing with in our community has risen dramatically since the pandemic. A lot of us know that. Though we were able to relax many of the health restrictions, the impacts that it's had on Monroe families don't just go away, unfortunately. Having this funding has been extremely profound in how we can serve these families that are really suffering. This funding has allowed us to make tangible differences in the lives of those who have come to us for help. And we're talking about really, really serious situations here, most involving children, many involving adults, most involving the family as a whole because its members don't function independently. So we're talking about things like minor sexual assault survivors, incest sexual assault survivors, domestic violence survivors, parents who've lost their children to trafficking, families that have lost everything to fire, everything, parents who've lost their children that have lost their siblings. So our entire community will feel the impact of these problems and if these families go ignored. And we all benefit from healthy, productive members of our community, of course. There have been great moments where we've been able to coordinate care with our providers. We had a family who, after talking with one of the provider felt that they were really in danger and called back to us and said this family needs help getting a protection order. And so we were able to get that family a protection order and make sure that they had a safe place to be. So it's always ideal when we can have like all fronts a family is dealing with on the same page, working together, right? So families need access to this care. Monroe families are suffering, and Monroe has been groundbreaking in our ability to prioritize and serve our most vulnerable. So we need continued funding to do so. We hope the council will help us find some, even perhaps a line item that is in the annual budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person signed up to speak is Holly McCallum. Please come forward and state your name and association with the city of Monroe or area of residence. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Holly McCallum and I live in Woodinville, Washington, but I've been a provider in rural Snohomish County for over 6 years as a mental health practitioner. And in fact, I was the clinical supervisor at the Compass Health Clinic that unfortunately closed in 2020 during the pandemic, which left 175 children without mental health therapists. And even these many years later, I still feel very emotional as I think about those children who's in the most stressful time in our community, in our country, in our world, lost access to their therapists. And that is really tragic. These are children that are on state assistance, right? And are really struggling. And so I got to see that firsthand and be there breaking the news to so many of those children that they weren't going to have their therapists anymore. And in the process of that, and as many of myself and other practitioners and Take the Next Step, which we're so grateful for, really partnered and said, we have to do something, right? And we are so grateful for this council for putting money in the budget to be able to provide services. I am absolutely floored when I hear the statistics that Sarah just shared with you, because I hear those numbers and those numbers are quite impressive. And you guys each have a part in it, and the community, when they invest in their children, have a part in it. But as the provider, I'm someone who gets to see those children, right, face to face. I'm a sexual assault and attachment specialist and a trauma expert, right? And so I see the most traumatized children come through and sit on my couch and talk through the most difficult things that no family would ever want to face. And when you need a therapist or you need a professional intervention, you need it now. And right now, if you have state medical assistance, you would have to go to Everett or be on a wait list at Seymour for extended periods of time, because the community resources are so strapped, right? And it's dire for kids out there. But what I do know is that beautiful work is being done. Children who weren't going to school because they were having too much anxiety or depression or behavioral problems are going to school, right? Are getting better, right? Reporting happiness, reducing those the need for services. And it's so essential to be able to provide those, because like I said before, when you need a therapist or a professional, you need it right now. And getting to Everett is sometimes impossible for those that face transportation or economic barriers. So continuing funding means that kids get a chance of seeing somebody who cares about them and will help them do different things in their life. And what can be so important is partnering with agencies like Take the Next Step. I am so incredibly grateful. I myself served 51 individuals last year, right? That includes, 32 children and 19 adults. That doesn't include the school age children group therapies that were able to happen over the summer that provided weekly social, emotional, behavioral supports, right, for children who have identified anxiety or depression needs. So I thank you so much. I really hope that we can continue this funding. These are children that I care deeply about, and I know that are important to this community
you.
as well. Thank you.
Next person who signed up to speak is Rosie DePrado. Please come forward and state your name and association with the city of Monroe for the record. Thank you.
Yes, I am Rosy de Prado. I'm originally from Mexico, but I have lived in the USA for 10 years, first in California, being the mental health director in Latino Health Access, working with immigrants. I have a master in family therapy, and I teach also in the Seattle University, the multicultural program in the couples and family. So my practice is Stories of Hope. It's trying to make a difference in terms of working with immigrants, with BIPOC community, with LGBTQ community. We have had support groups. Thank you for the support in Take the Next Step. We have been able to provide groups for kids, for teens inside the school, and also a group for LGBTQ community that they were all living here in Monroe, and they didn't know about each other. So they are friends and they feel more protected. I have my practice is in Monroe. I live in Snohomish, so I care about all the two places. Also, I have 6 now interns and 3 associates. So as a team, we can provide affordable care, but we need that support for a nonprofit, because as a private practitioner, you don't have that chance, to provide for free, because you cannot sustain yourself. So thanks to Joe from the school district, and to Sarah and the team of Take the Next Step, we created this beautiful collaboration. School, Take the Next Step, and private practices that wants to create this other path of a private practice providing community health that includes going beyond the practice itself, which means that our therapists, they are not just providing care in the room one-on-one. They are trying to provide resources, they are providing psychoeducation, they are willing to go with the people. And that is also helping them as future practitioners to have a mind that can be more based in social justice practices and just not just business, no, as a therapist. And I'm amazed, like the amount of cases that we receive of kids with having mental health issues is enormous. So we need the help to keep doing our work. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person who signed up to speak is Christina Harpster or Hapster. You please come forward and state your name and association with the city of Monroe, please. Thank you.
Hello, it's Christina Harpster.
Harpster.
I own the private practice CH Counseling, share space with Rosie De Prado of Stories of Hope as well. So she knows that I do not love public speaking. I'm really like one-on-one kind of a person, but that's okay. So I have a very similar practice as Rosie was speaking to, where I have also a group of interns, 7 interns and 2 associates. I've worked for the city of Monroe, not the city of Monroe. I've worked for the community of Monroe for 7 years. I used to supervise at CMAR as their child and family supervisor, and ended up going into private practice for myself. So this opportunity to work with a nonprofit organization and be able to serve some of the most vulnerable of our community has been an honor. To be able to sit with some of the children and the adults. My practice does primarily focus on trauma, depression with children who are self-harming, suicidal, all the things. And right now, the unfortunate part, as much as I love CMAR, they have the wait list, as others have said, and we're talking months. These kids who are sad and depressed and desperate right now. And that's what we've been able to do, is meet them where they're at, even if it was 10 sessions, probably kept dozens of them from the hospitals or potentially taking their own life. And I know that that might sound like a lot, but that's what we saw. Luckily, the other aspect of what we were able to do was bring clinicians into the schools. My associate, who will be coming up next, he was able to go into the high school and work with the Leaders in Learning, which is the alternative high school, serving some of the highest risk population teenagers that we have in our community. So just wanted to share some of the stories of who we see and how that money did and hopefully will continue to impact our kids and also families. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person who signed up to speak is Joe Mikulski. Can you please come up and state your name and association with the city of Monroe for the record? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Joe Mikulski. I am a clinical associate at CH Counseling Services in Monroe. I want to thank you for this opportunity to speak with you briefly. I feel really honored to speak with you because this is such an important matter. I've got to say that I don't envy you being in the position that you're in, because I can tell that you're all very caring people and there are a lot of hungry mouths to feed, and there are only so many ways that we can slice a pie. I was asked to maybe speak anecdotally about some of my work with students that I worked with at Leaders and Monroe high schools, but honestly, I'm too much of a softie and I just can't do that. I will say that last year as a clinical intern, that I did have the good fortune to work with maybe just under a dozen students. And the work that I was able to do with these young people from this community was honestly life-changing, not only for myself, but for, more importantly, for these young people. And I don't say that lightly. A number came to me desperate with nowhere left to turn for help. And the blood, sweat, and tears that was put into that work was entirely theirs. This work would not have been possible without the funding provided to take the next step. And knowing without a doubt that what we accomplished could in all sincerity be called miraculously, I humbly ask you to please ensure funding for Take the Next Step continues. We're feeding two birds with one seed here. Not only are we helping our young people in the present, we are helping our future members of the community through this good work. So thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Amber Meta. Please come forward and state your name and association with the city for the record.
My name's
you.
Amber Meta and I live in Monroe and I work at Park Place Middle School. The collaboration we've been able to have with Take the Next Step as our funders and CA's Counseling and Stories of Hope as our resource providers has been incredibly successful. Not one student of mine has ever been turned away, and the access that the Spanish-speaking counselors provide our students is invaluable. We are still working really hard on breaking that cultural stigma for families. At the middle school level, I have students that are able to seek out counseling services on their own. And the proximity of both these providers has been a huge relief for students walking there themselves or families who have transportation struggles. I love the opportunity to be able to continue our partnership with these organizations. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person is Loretta Morris. Please come forward and state your name and association with the city for me, please.
Good evening. I'm Loretta Morris. I'm a community member here in Monroe. I work for Monroe High School and Leaders High School. However, I'm not here representing the school district. I am here though to share with you some of my experience in serving the students. I do serve primarily the economically disadvantaged families in our community, many of which come from multi-generations of trauma and high-risk households. Through my work, I provide resources and referrals to these students. The number one referral that I've utilized has been through Take the Next Step, and more specifically, their mental health resources. Within those referrals, several of the students received advanced support through some of the clinicians that are here today. Those students were students who had experienced some significant traumas, events in their life, or came with complex traumas. And they were, again, able to receive that tangible prompt support that they were needing. More importantly, no student was turned away. And I think you heard that same thing from Ms. Meta. No student seeking service was turned away. Providing tangible, available mental health services to high-risk students is authentic upstream interventions, contributing on many levels to well-being. These mental health services are creating a ripple effect, starting with the high-risk, vulnerable young people in our community, allowing interventions that change generations to come. Now I'm going to turn my phone over. I've got a little bit of a background in this field. I did a lot of street work. I used to be, that sounds a little promiscuous there. All right, so I was the director of outreach programs for Cocoon House, and we had the opportunity to have on-site service providers there as well, serving, prostitutes, gang members. And I've seen what it means to have that service available when a student says, help me, when a youth says, help me. Because sometimes when they go home or they leave that building, that doesn't come back again because they're back out in that life. It has been amazing to have this available to us. Serving tier 2, tier 3 students. I mean, we're really looking at an opportunity to make a change. And that's what I'm here to just share about today. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that'd like to speak to the council this evening? All right, we're at the end of public comment. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next item on the agenda, and thank you everybody for coming and commenting this evening. I appreciate it. I'm sure the council does as well. Thank you. Next item on the agenda then is announcements and presentations. We have item 6.1, recognition of council member Ed Davis. So today is Ed's last day. as last council meeting. It's not your last day as council member. Yeah, it's not his last day as a council member. That'll go until December 31st, but it's his last day, his last meeting as a council member, unless something crazy and unexpected and probably not great happens between now and the end of the year. I will say that I have been serving with Ed for 10 years now. I have really enjoyed working with you, Ed. I appreciate everything that you've brought to our council and to our community. I appreciate how much you think out the issues that are brought to you. I really appreciate how you have been a voice for the community, coming in and sharing thoughts and concerns with us. And I really appreciate your service. So thank you so very much. And I'm going to go ahead and turn to council members. Councilmember Hanford.
Thank you, Mayor. I have some comments that I want to share, but also I want to just direct your attention to your email. Former Councilmember Gearing had emailed in some comments for you, so make sure you don't miss that. I took the time to write this out to make sure that I say the right things. Ed, I believe I met you for the first time 12 years ago when you were first elected on council. I immediately appreciated the fact that you listened a lot. You were not quick to jump in and feel the need to voice your opinions and concerns all the time. It felt like the times that you actually did speak up, which were rare, it was very valuable to our team. So in the Bible, James 1:19, it says, "Understand this, my dear brothers and sisters, you must all be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry." And this describes you very well. I remember just a couple of years into your first term, we didn't know how a former council member named Jeffrey Thomas would do as a mayor, so you ran for mayor against him. Don't worry, Jeffrey, you turned out great.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
What I respect about you, Ed, so much is that even though you didn't win, the loss did not affect your attitude and your role as you fulfilled your duties as a council member. You moved on, you ran for council 2 more times and were reelected both times. You have been an integral part of this team and a huge part of why we have accomplished so much and why our city is in such great shape. I am so thankful that I have had the privilege of serving with you these last dozen years, and it has truly been an honor, my friend. This is why I wrote it out. I wish you and your family the very best as you move on in this next chapter of your life. Good.
Thank you. Councilmember Gamble.
I looked it up. The average marriage in the United States is 8 years. So that's why there's tears. I like, Kevin, I don't think we've ever been up here without you. We all came in, all 3 of us, at the exact same time. And, I've just always appreciated how level you have been. And yeah, you might not have spoken a lot, but gosh dang it, when you did, everybody listened. The infamous speech that no one will ever forget is the motorcycle comparison on when we were talking about the wakeboard park or the wake surf park. But that's just a great example of, you took a very charged moment and we were able to give a very good viewpoint on the matter with a very good analogy. And it's just how you've always been. The word I always use, when I talk to my wife, is that, Ed is he's so stoic. And I read a lot of stoic books and practices and all that. Carry a coin, the whole 9 yards. And you, sir, you definitely, you have that down. I'm going to miss you. It's been an honor and, and a privilege serving alongside you for the last, the 12 years. We're gonna miss, you know, that, your attitude, you know, on this council. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Scarborough, I thought you had your flag up.
You. Well, being the third to speak, I'll say ditto and ditto. But I've known Ed and been on the council here with him for 8 years and found a lot of common ground. Came to enjoy Ed even more and more as time went on. We found some common ground in our military background that always helped both of us, I think, understand the other person. Slow to speak, slow to quick to listen, slow to speak. I don't think I've ever seen him angry. So maybe he can hide it better than I can in mine. But you will be missed, and I've enjoyed my 8 years with you, and I've enjoyed coming to know you even better than I had 8 years ago. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, Councilmember Scarborough. Councilmember Kinney.
Well, I've served the least amount of time with you, but it's had a big impact. You've served as a role model to me of how to be a council member that listens more than they talk, which isn't always my strong suit. So I appreciate that. You've been not only a role model, but also someone who has a gentle kindness about you. I really appreciate that. Also, gotten to know you not only as a council member, but as a friend, and showed some interest in your military background. And that grew into you bringing some photos in to show me about your experiences. Us talking about maybe doing some oral histories at the Historical Society, which now we'll have time to do. And being at events for Veterans Day, which I was always very, very proud to be there with you and with Kirk. But I have some great memories. One of them is you agreeing to speak at the Park Place Middle School Veterans Day Assembly. Absolutely mesmerizing presentation. I saw those students just really listening to every word that you had to say, and was very proud to be there listening to that. And I thank you for your service. And I have a more personal memory, and that is last year when you and your beautiful wife came to the Historical Society, and I played some Christmas carols and you both sang. So those are some really sweet, wonderful memories that I will take away from serving with you for the last 2 years. And I thank you so much for your service and for your friendship.
Thank you. Councilmember Fisher, go ahead.
All right, so I've been here as long as Tammy has been. It's weird to think that the only person sitting up here when you were elected was the mayor. All of us have changed. I think I have that right. I love your approach on things. I've been able to learn a lot from you, just sitting over there quietly, listening and watching how you go after different subjects and how we approach different things, and not having the talks of, hey, Fisher, you should be doing this or this or this. I can just sit back and watch how gracefully you kind of get through this whole system that we have here. I have a few notes here. I might jump around a little bit, but that's the biggest thing that stands out to me. Being able to look down to my right and see a calm, cool, collect council member. Things that I would like to strive to be. I can be a little bit more hot than that. So I like looking at you and say, oh, you know what? I'm just going to take a deep breath here. I'm going to do what Ed does. What would Ed do? And I also really, Tammy touched on a little bit, just your involvement in the community outside of this. You're not just a council member that is sitting up on a dais. You're a council member that's very involved in our community, and I really appreciate it. So thank you for your service. And we'll see you hopefully around town at some point in time. See what happens.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Fulcher.
I get to bat cleanup and I am so excited about it. You've heard a theme here with all of us that we know about Ed, and I have my special nickname for you. I don't know if any of you remember this commercial about there would be a room full of people, like there'd be a cocktail party type of thing, and they'd all be sitting around chatting. And suddenly this one guy, kind of in the midst of it, would just start to talk and everyone would silence. And it was when E.F. Hutton talks, people listen, right? We all remember that. And that's why I say when people are like, well, I don't know about Ed. I mean, does he ever talk? I'm like, oh, he's E.F. Hutton. And as soon as he talks, you have to listen because it's going to be wisdom and it's going to be kind and it's going to be measured. And I have loved sitting next to you. It has been a privilege. I know Jason's not giving up that side and I'm not giving up this side, but now we have to. So both you and Debbie have been just a beautiful presence in our community and my life. And I'm grateful for you very much. I will miss you.
Thank you. Councilmember Davis, did you have any words that you wanted to share with us?
I'm crying.
Have to break the mold.
Yeah, I'll make it quick. Started when I was born. A little cabin, no. I tell people ask me, oh, you still on council? Yeah, I'm still on council. And they go, how's that going? I go, I love it. And I love being a part of the city and where it's going and helping to steer that bus. But the thing that's really made it a wonderful experience for me personally is the people I've met here on council, staff, executives. They're wonderful people, and the city is very fortunate to have this group of people driving this bus here. And I think we've been very successful at some of the things we've done. We have been many people have gotten up and talked about something that we've been groundbreakers in our community. I remember in my past life here, before I retired, I used to travel around a lot and talk to people about some of the things that we were doing. And our program with the counseling and things like that, and people were like, wow, you're doing something. And now people are looking at that and noticing that and helping us do that. There are a lot of people around this state that have been watching that for a while because I was talking to them, and I'm sure that most of you guys were too. Groundbreaking people here. Our staff, I couldn't ask for a better staff. I think you'll agree with me. I'm amazed on a regular basis by the people that are actually out there doing the work here in the city. And I thank you guys. You've made my job easy, and I couldn't ask for more from you. Job well done. I thank you. And for my colleagues here, I never had a day where I wouldn't say I was excited about coming to council, but I enjoy it. And a big part of that is the people that have been on council, our past council members and our present council members. I enjoy every single one of you. I consider you my friends. And every time I come here, I go away feeling good about what we're doing, what my part in it has been. And I appreciate that to no end. I can't tell you how much I appreciate working with you and us accomplishing what we've done. So I'll just wrap it up with a big thank you to all of you. And I hope the best for you in the future, and keep doing the good work that you guys have been doing. Monroe is a special place. It always has been for me since I first moved out here. And I think with the leadership in this city and the people that are working in it, it'll continue to be so. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Thank you.
They wrap it up for you, but it's not quite that.
Yeah.
So I think we all know that we can't do what we do here without the support that we have from home. Debbie, did you want to say a few words? I know this is breaking from our agenda. I hope it's okay that his wife comes forward.
If I can't read this, I just had my eyes dilated, so I can't hardly even see your faces. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, and staff. My name is Deborah Davis. As you know, I've been asked to speak about my husband and best friend of 42 years, Councilman Edmund Davis. When he was first sworn into office as council member that night, I asked him a question. I said, Ed, Abraham in the Bible called Sarah Lord. Are you expecting me to call you the Honorable Mr. Davis? With his typical side glance and smile, he said, no, but that would be nice. Now, if you know anything about Ed, you know he's not about the title, but about serving. He's been a faithful public servant these past 12 years as one of Monroe's councilmen, and he's been blessed and privileged by those he's had to work with. But service started a long time ago for the Honorable Ed Davis. His mother would say it started when he was 7 and he sewed yellow stripes on his blue jeans. When I was a child, my hero was my grandfather, my father. When I became an adult, Edwin became my hero. We met while serving together on the medical evacuation helicopter team in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, home of the 82nd Airborne. Our mission was primarily rescuing injured paratroopers, assisting in mass casualty situations. He was one of the finest pilots in our unit. So whether he was trying to put a helicopter in a small hole, clipping off branches on the way down to get a wounded soldier, or landing on that little H the size of a postage stamp in a windstorm on the top of the hospital to get a baby the medical care that was urgently needed, Ed could be counted on to complete the mission. On a more personal note, when we landed, if it was a difficult situation, I always knew that Ed would be there waiting at the end of the runway to hold me, to shield me from the pain. It's remarkable to me that some of you mentioned those same kind of character parts of Ed. We married at Fort Bragg Chapel, and this time Ed had real yellow stripes on his military dress blues. When our time of military service was ended, we went to college in a small town in Maine. We were eventually blessed with 4 children and then given a little one to adopt after our 4 were mostly grown. If you've raised toddlers or teens, you know it's no small task, but Ed was there beside me, loyal, faithful, and kind-hearted. A favorite memory was watching the captain get his young sea mates all turning to, hoisting the sails so we could take our sailboat out onto Lake Washington. Ed's public service first began as we were working for several friends on their campaigns. After helping Senator Craswell, Ed believed he was being called to public service. While we were talking and praying about it, we went home for Christmas, and there at the little church we often visited in Arizona, God used the message that Sunday to assure us he would guide us as we served. I still remember the pastor preaching on Joshua 1:8. God promised Joshua he'd be with him and guide him as Joshua led the people. Ed ran for state rep, and we attended more parades than I can count, spoke everywhere and did fundraising and phone calling and doorbelling. And then our son decided he was going to be one of those little preemies that had to be in the hospital for a while. It cut short the campaign as we tended to our little one, and we decided to pull back while raising the children. So Ed ran for city council. He's faithfully served the city of Monroe, and I couldn't be prouder of his dedication and service to the community. It's with great pleasure that I'd like to join my voice with those of you here tonight who are wishing Ed well as we prepare for this next leg of our journey into retirement. Thank you all, and may God bless you and yours. Merry Christmas.
So Ed, we've got a little thing to share with you. And I think that, Kirk, did you have something you wanted to bring out as well? Okay. Oh, and we have a slideshow.
No, I got
The slideshow? You want to do the slideshow first? Oh, okay. Let's do the slideshow. All right. I'll turn mine around also. There you go.
Puppy, bring the puppy in.
Yeah. Okay, Ed. Decided we wanted to put that together.
Here. So that's, we'll do the slideshow after. Let's do this up here.
More than praise your goodness. I hope you haven't run from
Ed, why don't you come on up here and if somebody can get that with the device. We can take a picture. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Kirk. Thank you for putting that together.
Oh, okay.
Come on. We can do both of them. Yeah. So let's go ahead and pull that out. We put that right in front of them. Thank you very much for your service.
Single army, but I know not everybody's army.
Thank you very much for your service. Oh,
We got room.
Yeah.
Way more important.
Okay, now say go army. We want one, just the family?
Yeah.
That.
Now you hold on to that. I have his number, I will send it to you.
all right. Yes. We have another family member that, if it pleases council. Thank you.
I just wanted to say real quick, my name is Megan Davis. I am the third child of Councilmember Ed Davis. And how do you fit over a decade of service into just a few minutes? My dad has faithfully been an active part of this community, this town, for over that decade. It's gone beyond the weekly meetings. He hasn't missed a Memorial Day, a night out against crime, or a Fair Days parade that I can remember. He's been the example in our family of being the change you want to see in your community. As a man of few words, I knew that when he spoke up, he had something important to say. And I've seen him speak up and advocate for the people of this town. And he's spent time and effort with their best interests at heart, making Monroe not only a place that people want to come to, but a place he could raise his family. For that, I want to say thank you, Dad, for your service, and we are all proud of you.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. And yeah, thank you again, Ed. We're going to move on to the next item on the agenda. That's item 6.2, Monroe Community Coalition, with a presentation from Joe Nigel. Please come forward. Good evening. Yeah, it's still evening, right?
What's that?
It's still evening, right? I'm sorry.
It might be the next day.
I keep wanting to go with good morning. It's all good.
Yeah. No, actually so grateful for the slideshow. I could not have followed Mrs. Davis's beautiful words. I wouldn't have known to come up and make a joke or ask for a moment of silence. Yeah, just beautiful, beautiful words. My name's Joe Nigel. I'm the Director of Prevention Services for Monroe School District. What that means is I oversee our behavioral health team. So a team of case managers, some of whom are in the audience tonight, mental health specialists, our crisis response team, harassment, intimidation, and bullying. The list goes on, our community engagement board. But what I'm most excited to do for Monroe School District is I get to coordinate the Monroe Community Coalition. And the Monroe Community Coalition has been active since 2013. Will we be able to show the slides? Yeah. Wonderful. Wonderful. We can go on to the next slide. I did ask to have the packet sent to you. The packet that was sent to you is more robust than the slides we're going to look at tonight. I wanted to allow you the chance to go deeper if you wanted to. But in 2013, when Monroe was selected to be part of Washington State's Community Prevention and Wellness Initiative, it was because there were two factors present. One, Monroe was one of the riskiest communities for youth to live in with regard to alcohol and other substance use. And two, you had a very high capacity community. You were ready to address the issue. And it actually had a history of partnership, neighbors and professionals coming together to take on those big issues that are too big for any one agency or organization to solve. And so while we started as one of actually the third highest risk community in Snohomish County about 10 years ago, today we're one of the most protected in Washington State. And so I wanted to start with the good news first. That is because of our partnership with Monroe City Council over the last 10 years, our amazing partners in the police department, Chief Jolly, and Rachel Adams, and of course, Deborah Knight, who was my first city administrator when I was first elected to city council in Sultan 13 years ago. Those partnerships and these collaborations have worked together with some pretty incredible funding that we've been able to generate over the years to make right now Monroe's lowest rate of youth alcohol use ever recorded, our lowest rate of youth marijuana use ever recorded. Our smoking and vaping rates are the lowest that they've ever been. Our prescription drug use rates, even in the midst of this growing fentanyl concern, remains the lowest ever recorded. Our students are reporting fewer abusive relationships. Teachers are recognizing students for their hard work. Physical fighting is at its lowest rate ever recorded. I mean, just so much good news that it's kind of hard to believe. And so as part of our obligation for the Community Prevention and Wellness Initiative funding that we receive in the community, it's my responsibility to keep you in the loop. And I haven't done that since before we closed everything for the pandemic. So tonight I just wanted to reintroduce you to what you've helped to accomplish. We go back all the way to the retail marijuana moratorium when we were trying to decide those issues, and you took the community's concerns to heart, to signage in the parks, to a number of issues and initiatives that we've partnered on together. We can go on to the next slide. And we'll start moving kind of quickly. I'm going to talk through, but you obviously know where we are, but we're one of 100 communities around Washington State that are part of this initiative. We were within the first 3 cohorts of it. The initiative since we joined has grown to more than 100 schools, 100 communities in all 39 counties. All right, next slide. Our coalition really is a partnership. You can see some of the logos for the organizations that are represented. We're also well represented by moms and dads, by grandparents. We haven't been well represented by the media since the Monroe Monitor closed down, but we truly are a collaboration of neighbors and professionals who just feel a responsibility for helping youth to grow up healthy and strong. Our goal really is simple. We want to prevent youth from experiencing the negative impacts of alcohol and other drug use, because we know they adversely impact school performance, job prospects, physical and mental health, and really our community and society out here in the Valley as a whole. Next slide, please. We're a community-driven model. I'll show you what that looks like in a moment, but we gather the best information we have available to us, whether that's core or ArcGIS data provided by the state, their archival data, our healthy use survey data, school district or other city data, health department data. We take the best data available to us, and as a community sit down every 2 years and really look at what that means, why certain things may be happening here and not in other communities. And that's both positive and negative. There are many great things happening here that just aren't happening in other communities. I mean, you heard that tonight from our public speakers, that incredible partnership that you help to sustain, that's keeping our kids directly connected to mental health services, where outside of this community, the wait time may be 4.5 to 7 months. So you're giving access to kids within 1 to 2 weeks maximum. It's not happening anywhere else. We really focus as a coalition on making partnerships like that and putting the resources where they're needed most. Next slide. We use a strategic a process called the Strategic Prevention Framework. It's technical. We could spend 8 hours on it, but really we're asking 5 questions with the community. What's the problem? What resources do we have to address the problem in Monroe? What's the best way to approach it? How are we going to get the work done? And how will we know if we're successful? Go ahead. Every 2 years, we put together a strategic plan. We've held the same strategic plan for 4 years now because of the pandemic. We're waiting for new data to come our way this May and April. But we really try to identify root causes of rates of substance abuse, teen pregnancy, juvenile delinquency, the development of depression and anxiety and other mental health disorders, and school dropout, and then target our funding and resources to address those root causes. So we're really not looking at the smoke, we're hitting that fire right where it burns. Go ahead. Our goal is to just keep these challenges that everybody has from boiling over into a much larger problem for our community. One of the reasons why Monroe, I believe, is less impacted by this fentanyl crisis is because we've had 10 years of putting foundational primary prevention programs and supports in place for our kids. And so it does happen here, but at rates much lower than in other communities. What you see here is just a model. We actually, science has 24 risk factors that predict engagement in substance abuse, delinquency, teen pregnancy, and others. And so what you see on the slide here, we won't go into it because of the time, is where we are vulnerable and where we're protected and where we look like other communities. So our community is very protected. All that green shows how much better our community fares and our students fare compared to their counterparts around the state. The only areas of concern, according to our most recent data, were simply attitudes towards substance abuse and commitment to school. And so our investments have helped to shore up some of those risk factors we're hoping to see on this next iteration of the Healthy Youth Survey data when it's released in April. Thank you. We essentially take a multi-tiered approach. So we look at actually, I should say we employ the medical model instead of, the public health model instead of the medical model, where the medical model is investing resources on one-on-one interactions. We engage in population level change first, and then bring that down as it's needed. It's a way to make good use of our funds and to be great stewards of what's given to us. And so, in that blue level, we're trying to reach the whole community, as we have done with our partnership with you through policy decisions and ordinances or recognition. At tier 1, we're trying to reach all students or families in the community. At tier 2, just those who have certain risk factors in common. They may be students who come from or students whose parents may be substance abusers, or they may be new to the community and at a higher risk because they're in transition. And then at that red stage, the most expensive tier service, we also provide one-on-one services to youth. Go ahead, next slide. So we do take that multi-tiered approach to bring specific resources into the community. Since 2013, we've raised more than $5 million in behavioral health resources for Monroe. It's probably the proudest thing I've ever done, being a part of that, being able to partner with our neighbors and professionals and actually make this happen. The 4 people over here in this quarter are all grant funded employees who wouldn't be here without those partnerships. So we're leveraging resources every which way we can. And you heard how passionately they spoke earlier tonight. Go ahead. And the result is, when we look across all of these tiers, we have something to plug the gap. And as the data changes and as need changes, the community pulls together to identify what other gaps we need to fill, or to celebrate what we're doing right. Go ahead. Right now, the coalition is navigating 9 different funding streams. It's a lot of hoops to jump through. On top of that, the partnerships, especially with City of Monroe, Rachel Adams, and sorry, it's late at night, Rachel. What's the group? What's the group that met this morning?
The service providers.
Rachel Adams coordinating service provider meetings. I mean, we are the most interconnected professional community in terms of behavioral health and wellness, maybe anywhere, at least north of Seattle. It's pretty incredible. Go ahead. And again, all of those efforts coming together to help sustain those low rates. And so we would hope that we can continue the meaningful partnership that we have in the way that we have in the past. We'd hope that we'd be able to continue to partner through MOUs and other structures in order to help you to support the community in the way that you have been. I mean, it's incredible. I'm so glad that you mentioned it's almost unheard of when you go to other communities. We'd hope that you would work with our experts when you reconsider your retail marijuana ordinance. If that ever happens, you certainly have a devoted community who's willing to help educate and take it beyond economic benefit into real benefit. We'd really hate to lose ground on this incredible platform of success that we've built up over the years. And so it's been a long night. You did have twice or 3 times as many slides in your packet, but I really just wanted to reintroduce myself to you. If we haven't met, introduce myself to you and just say thank you and lean into continued partnership. Chief Jolly comes to almost every coalition meeting. We wouldn't be able to sustain the grant without law enforcement at the table. And so at every level, we're just so grateful. I see you, council member. Oh, that's your job.
Yeah, thank you. Go ahead, Councilmember Gamble.
Get it right. There we go. No, I just wanted to say thank you, Mr. Nagel. I mean, having been up here for 12 years.
Yeah.
With long several, I remember when we started really, dove into this relationship and, the amount of work that we also did in studying the homelessness crisis and then digging in and realizing, yes, we have a homelessness crisis, but we also have a mental health and we have a substance abuse crisis that really is, the guiding factor. And one of our speakers, I'll never forget it. I asked the question, was our Snohomish County expert on the matter. I'm forgetting her name off the top of my head. MJ. I said, because we don't have a lot, there is limited resources. And I remember asking, if you had one cause that you could get behind that you felt that would have the biggest impact for the community, for homelessness and all the stuff around it. And she didn't even miss a beat. I don't know if you guys remember this. She said, I'd spend it on the youth. That essentially that the numbers and the data shows us that it becomes a generational type issue, and that that's where you need to spend your money. So it's great to see. I'm a stats guy for those that have known me long enough. So when I get to see stuff like that show that it's working, it's just really neat to see. So just appreciate all the the work and the partnership has been fantastic. So
so grateful for you and your staff,
everything that you guys do.
Councilmember Hanford.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I concur. When I received the packet in the email and I read through your presentation, I was just so pleased to see the great numbers, and so thankful for you and your team for all your work, and love this report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Fisher.
Yeah, exactly what they say. And I also remember MJ coming through the Homeless Policy Advisory Committee, HPAC, and this taking a while and really seeing all of the progress that you and your fantastic staff has improved on with relations with the city, law enforcement, school district, nonprofits. It's really encouraging to see. You had mentioned something about other places looking at us and what we have done. And I have constantly talked to other communities, mainly South King County area where I used to work. And like, man, you have no idea. We're this small little community, but we're getting things figured out with way less resources. And that's all because of everybody that I'm looking out to tonight. So I really do appreciate it. And thank you so much.
You're welcome. I agree. We have the right people in this community. And we have them right when we need them. So.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from council? All right, thank you very much.
I do want to acknowledge, I noticed how festively you're dressed. So thank you for cheering me up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is item 7. This is a consent agenda. I turn to the council. Councilmember Kenny, go ahead.
I move to approve the consent agenda as provided in the packet.
Hanford second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Kenny, a second from Councilmember Hanford to approve the consent agenda as provided in the packet. Any discussion on the motion? Go ahead, Councilmember Fulcher.
I would like to ask a question about I gotta find it here. This is a long one. Number 16, 7.16, the Human Services Awards that are coming from the county, that's the 300,000. That's a lot of money. Once it's in our hands, I feel like we're now responsible for it. So I do want to know, what are the accountability factors that's going along with this to make sure that this money is being used how it's supposed to be, that they're actually reaching an appropriate number of people for getting our good bang for our buck.
Thank you.
I see Rachel's left.
Administrator Knight, are you able to respond to that?
Okay.
Oh, I'd have to actually pull up that section. I see 7.16 on the slide, and that's in relation to the awards recommendation coming from the Community Human Services Advisory Board. But there's another award that we're receiving from the county. Is that the agenda bill that you're referring to?
Administrator Knight, just a second, you weren't able to see Rachel Adams is at the podium now.
Okay.
Restate your question.
Well, obviously my phrasing was wrong with the county, if I'm misunderstanding that, but this is the exact item that I'm talking about. We got $250,000 going to St. Vincent de Paul. That's great. How do we know that these services are actually, what's our accountability on this from these people, from these awardees?
So we will be working on contracting with them for a reimbursement basis for their services. This service model will employ wraparound services and case management for individuals. Each award is going to be incorporating wraparound services and case management as part of the criteria of being awarded.
Is this money, correct me if I'm wrong, is this money from the county or is this our actual budget?
This is
money?
general funds.
Okay, so have we as a city then ever asked for an audit of these places I just want to dig down. We're talking about a lot of money. That's all I'm saying.
So the amount of funding that is being awarded is from the biannual budget. So it incorporates both the award from 2023 and 2024 into one. So it would have been 150 into 2023 and 150 into 2024. And the timeline was compressed is why it ended up being the 300,000. We have not done an audit looking back into awards, but all of our reporting requires supporting documentation. So whenever we're invoicing, there's some supporting documentation that has to go along with that of a certain type and variety in order for the cost to be reimbursable.
Okay. Thank you. Great answer, Rachel. I am just looking forward to as we hand out large quantities of money, I think it behooves us all to have a knowledge of these local charities, whatever we want to call nonprofits. And I'm just saying it for the record. I look forward to getting to know them and how they actually work. I think that would give me a little more confidence in handing over money.
Wonderful.
I know that
Yes.
we have put this as part of our budget, and I'm supportive of that. But as always, keeping track of it. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Councilmember Fisher, go ahead.
So I agree with Councilmember Fulcher on this. I'm gonna beat around the bush less and say that there's 3 awardees there. There is one that I'm concerned about.
Okay.
And I would also like to dive into some of this a little bit more before those funds are handed out.
Okay.
Yeah, so council members, there's a motion on the table to approve the consent agenda. I've heard 2 council members express a concern about 17.16. You have the option to amend the motion to remove item 7.16 or to proceed with the motion that's on the floor. Councilmember Hanford.
Thank you, Mayor. If we do not end up passing this, set for 7.16, is there, what kind of a time constraint are we under? What would it look like, down the road?
So these funds need to be expended by December 31st, 2024. Or else
Okay.
they go back into.
Great, so there's no rush.
budget.
We could tackle this the first of the year and
Yeah.
be just fine.
I'll just ask a follow-up question. Is there any work that would be completed in the next 4 weeks under this item?
Just contracting.
All right. So what I'm hearing then is in terms of service delivery, while there may be some delay in January, there's not going to be anything that would occur in between now and the beginning of January. So council members, again, going back to what I said before, because the motion's already been made, you can't really just pull it. The way to do that would be to have a motion to amend the motion to remove item 7.16 from the motion, and then we'd vote on that. And then if that passes, then it would be the consent agenda minus 7.16, essentially pulling it. Councilmember Gamble, I see your flag is up.
I will figure this dang thing out if it kills me. Yeah, no, I mean, since there's no impact from a timeline perspective, I respect my peers that want to poll and take a look, from a financial perspective. That's great. So I would make the motion that we would amend the original consent agenda motion to pull this item so we can consider it separately. So moved.
Okay, since you said so moved, I'll understand that the motion was as I stated it, which is to remove item 7.16 from the consent agenda. And then that motion was made from Councilmember Gamble, seconded by Councilmember Scarborough. Any discussion on the motion to amend? All right, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Now we go back to the original motion as amended. That would be to, the motion minus 7.16. Any discussion on the amended motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. All right, we're gonna go ahead and go on to the next item on the agenda, and that item would be item 8.1, board and board commission committee appointments. And I turn to Ms. Wyckoff, to Clerk Wyckoff.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you are 9 separate motions for various board and commission appointments and reappointments. We have several vacancies, either current vacancies or pending vacancies, because people like Mr. Council Member Davis are leaving our various boards and commissions, and so we need to fill those empty seats.
All right, thank you very much. So the first requested action for council to consider is to move to confirm the mayor's reappointment of James Harrigan to the Community Human Services Advisory Board, position 6, with a term of January 1, 2024 through December 31st, 2027. If Mr. Harrigan is in the room, I invite him to come forward. Just introduce yourself briefly and why you're interested in serving.
Hi, guys. My name is James Harrigan, and I've been on the Community Human Services Advisory Board since it was formed, and it's been a huge honor. I feel I've gotten more out of it than I've been able to give because every day I learn something new. And I just want to continue to try and serve. I'm a nurse, so I come with some medical perspective, but I also have quite a bit of personal experience with poverty, homelessness, and especially mental health. I have a number of family members that have mental health challenges. So I'll just take this opportunity to say that for those who haven't been able to meet me, I am focused on building community. That's kind of the main focus of what I try to do. So I just wanted to make sure while I was up here to invite anybody who is listening or who's in the room, come to our meetings, and we always want to hear from the community, and even consider applying to the board if you're interested.
All right, thank you very much. I turn to council.
Thank you.
Councilmember Hanford, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to confirm the mayor's reappointment of James Harrigan to Community Human Services Advisory Board, position 6, with a term of January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2027.
Thank you. I have a motion from Councilmember Hanford, a second from Councilmember Gamble for requested action number 1 under new business here. This is a confirmation for James Harrigan. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Next one is move to confirm the mayor's appointment of Janelle Drews to the Economic Development Advisory Board, position 2, a term expiring December 31st, 2024, effective immediately. Go ahead.
Hello, council. As you know, my name is Janelle Drews, and I am the director of the chamber, but something you may not know is I am a small business owner for 8 years of Rustic Restorations located in downtown Monroe inside Black Pearl Vintage Company. I would love to serve and continue serving on the Economic Development Advisory Board because I would help share ideas and also advice for bringing and attracting new businesses, as well as supporting our existing businesses. So thank you, and for the opportunity to serve our city.
All right, thank you very much. I turn to council. Go ahead, Councilmember Kenny.
It is with great pleasure that I move to confirm the mayor's appointment of Janelle Drews to Economic Development Advisory Board, position 2, term expiring December 31st, 2024, effective immediately.
I have a motion from Councilmember Kenny, a second from Councilmember Gamble to confirm the mayor's appointment of Janelle Drews. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Third one that we have is move to confirm the mayor's appointment of Jeff Marisola to the Ethics Board, position 4, with a term of January 1, 2024 through December 31st of 2026. Jeff was not available to be here this evening, so his materials in the packet. I turn to council. Councilmember Fisher, go ahead.
Move to confirm the mayor's appointment of Jeff Mazzala to Ethics Board, position 4, with a term of January 1, 2024 through December 31st, 2026.
Hanford seconds.
I have a motion from Councilmember Fisher, second from Councilmember Hanford to confirm the mayor's appointment of Jeff Marisola to the Ethics Board. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Next person that we have is moved to confirm the mayor's appointment of Lauren Vasatka to the Ethics Board, position 5, with a term of January 1, 2024 through December 31st, 2026. Lauren was also not able to be here this evening, so I turn to council. Materials in the packet. Councilmember Kenny.
I move to approve the mayor's appointment of Lauren Vasatka to Ethics Board, position 5, with a term of January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2026.
A motion from Councilmember Hanford, a second from Councilmember Scarborough to confirm the mayor's appointment of Lisa Brown to Parks Board. Any discussion?
Point of order, Mayor.
Okay, fine. I put the little tick mark there too early. Okay. I was up at 4:30, so I'm sorry. All right, Lauren Vasadka, any discussion on the motion?
Point of order, Mayor,
Yes.
Councilmember Kenny made the motion, not me.
I don't know how I confused that one, so.
That's
thank
okay.
you. So motion made by Councilmember Kenny, the second was Councilmember Scarborough, correct? All right. So I'm going to call for the vote before I fumble around more. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Next person that we have is Lisa Brown. This is moved to confirm the mayor's appointment of Lisa Brown to Parks Board, position number 7, term expiring December 31st, 2025, effective immediately. Lisa?
Good evening, council members. I'm Lisa Brown. I have lived in Monroe for almost 19 years and love our community. I love our city. I love our people. And I'm looking forward to being on the park board and helping to bring that sense of community to everybody here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or motion? Councilmember Scarborough, go ahead.
Move to confirm the mayor's appointment of Lisa Brown to Park Board Position 7, a term expiring December 31st, 2025.
Thank you. We have a council motion. Okay, we have a motion from Councilmember Scarborough, a second from Councilmember Gamble for to appoint Lisa Brown to the Parks Board to confirm the appointment. Any discussion on the motion? Saying none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion. No. Okay, motion passes 7-0. All right, next item on the agenda then is move to confirm mayor's appointment of Carla Lowe to the Planning Commission, position 1, with a term of January 1, 2024 through December 31st of 2025. Carla?
Good evening. My name is Carla Lowe. Thank you for the appointment. And I have been in service with the city I came from in California for, I don't know, 24 years or something. And we moved to Washington 4 years ago, and I've taken a 4-year break of being in service, and I feel like it's time for me to jump back in. So I really look forward to serving in the city of Monroe and being part of the team and just seeing what's going on and meeting people. And I look forward to being part of the Planning Commission. Thank you.
Thank you. And I do want to note for the record that Carla lives in Eaglemont. We don't have anybody representing, actually right now on Planning Commission, we have nobody living on the north side of Highway 2. So 2 of the people for Planning Commission that I'm asking you to confirm today live on the north side, and she lives up in Eaglemont. And so thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Councilmember Scarborough, go ahead.
I'll move to confirm the mayor's appointment of Carla Lowe to the Planning Commission, position 1, for the term of January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2025. Second.
Thank you. I have a motion from Councilmember Scarborough. I'll give that to Ed tonight. Ed, anytime I hear your voice, you're going to get the second. Or you could first, on your choice. Second from Councilmember Davis. Any discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Next one that we have is move to confirm mayor's reappointment of Melanie Lockhart to the Planning Commission, position 6, with a term of January 1, 2024 through December 31st, 2027. Melanie's online, so we'll go ahead and bring her forward into the panel. Melanie? Okay. Melanie, are you able to, are you in a place where you can speak? Okay, Melanie told us earlier, Melanie told us that she wasn't going to be able to attend this evening, so I noted that she was in the attendees list. Melanie, are you able to speak this evening? Okay. So I do appreciate that she was able to sign in, but, oh. Okay, you just took her off. She's moving around on the screen, so. Okay, I go ahead and turn to council. She's been serving for just about 2 years now, and so I turn to council. Go ahead, Councilmember Kenny.
I move to confirm the mayor's reappointment of Melanie Lockhart to Planning Commission, position 6, with a term of January 1, 2024 through December 31st, 2027.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Kenny, a second from Councilmember Davis to confirm the appointment of Melanie Lockhart to Planning Commission. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 0. Please note for the record that Councilmember Hanford was not in council chambers at the time of the vote. Next person that we have is item number 8, move to confirm the mayor's appointment of Bob Petrino to the Planning Commission, position 7, with a term of January 1, 2024 through December 31st, 2027. I'm going to ask Bob to come forward. Bob is the other one that lives on the north side of Highway 2, now giving us 2 people that live on the north side of
I
Highway
live
2.
off of
If you
Rainier
confirm.
View, been off of Rainier View for the last 6 years. 6 years in Monroe. About 10 years, 11 years in Washington. I've also spent the 10 years of experience on the planning commission in a town called San Ramon in California. 10 years of planning, 2 terms as chair, 4 years of parks, and 2 years of public safety committee. As well as a graduate of Leadership San Ramon Valley, which was our leadership program that we ran down there. I look forward to serving.
Thank you very much. Any questions or motion? Councilmember Kenny?
Well, I would say we are extremely lucky to have you. So it's fantastic. Great. All right. I move to confirm the mayor's appointment of Bob Petrino to Planning Commission, position 7, with a term of January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2027.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Kenny, and because Ed was quicker that time. Second from Councilmember Davis. Any discussion on the motion? Saying none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Please note for the record that Councilmember Hanford came back into chambers for this vote. Councilmember Fulcher is out of chambers for this vote. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item number 9, move to confirm the mayor's appointment of Joshua Watts to Salary Commission, position 2, a term expiring December 31st, 2025, effective immediately. Is Joshua here? Online? Okay, I don't see that he's here or online. And I don't think we were aware ahead of time that he was not going to be here. Okay, so I turn to council. Go ahead, Councilmember Hanford.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to confirm the mayor's appointment of Joshua Watts to Salary Commission, position 2, a term expiring December 31st, 2025, effective immediately.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Hanford, a second from Councilmember Scarborough. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Councilmember Fulcher, did you vote while you were entering? Okay, so motion passes 7-0. We'll let the record show that Councilmember Fulcher returned in time for that vote. All right, thank you very much, everybody. And to our new boards and commission folks, congratulations, commissioners and board members. So when you go home, just remind people that you are now a commissioner or a board member. All right. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next item on the agenda, and that's the city's 2024 legislative agenda. And I turn to Zach Humphreys. Good evening, Zach.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So the city's 2024 legislative agenda has been reviewed by the Legislative Affairs Committee and is informed and supported by the city's advisory boards. The 2024 legislative session will be a short 60-day session this year and will start on Monday, January 8th, 2024. The legislative agenda as written supports legislation that will support behavioral health and substance use disorder treatment and fully fund our mobile mental health unit for the Sky Valley area, make appropriations that will support case management workers, record software, and office supplies for the city's therapeutic court, and ensure that State Route 522, that project, maintains its current amount of funding and remains on its current timeline, and that construction to widen and add an interchange at Paradise Lake Road is fully funded by 2027. The city also plans to continue to work with our federal partners to address rail crossings and safety and behavioral health issues for our community. And staff is requesting that the city council adopt this legislative agenda for 2024. Mayor, do you have anything to add?
No, I don't. Thank you. I know the legislative committee met earlier tonight. I don't know if any of the legislative committee members want to share anything or just go with a motion. I'll entertain whichever, just a flag goes up and we'll move from there. Councilmember Hanford, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, it was a good meeting, and so I move to approve the City of Monroe's 2024 legislative agenda.
Motion from Councilmember Hanford, second from Councilmember Gamble. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. All right, we're gonna go through councilmember reports. We'll start off on the end there with Councilmember Scarborough.
Well, I've been plenty of fanfare tonight. I don't think I have anything to
All right, thank you. Councilmember Fisher.
Oh, I got something. Well, before tonight, I was gonna talk about my insignificant things that I did this week, but then when we had people come in and start talking about the mental health issues and those kinds of things. And of course, Councilmember Davis, all of that makes my stuff seem not very important at all. So with that, with the mental health stuff, with take the next step here, I wasn't wondering if there was a way to reallocate some ARPA funds. If I remember right, there was something about block party funds that they didn't use, and if we could reallocate those towards mental health services instead. I don't know what that looks like, but it might be something that I would like to see us look into. And then also with all the partnerships that are going on, I was wondering if there was any way, this is a little bit off of out of our area, but if the school district pitches in any money for that as well. It seems like from our presentation earlier today, that they use that resource a fair amount, and was wondering if there is an avenue to get not only the city and ARPA funds, but also the school district to kind of throw money into that kitty to support those important programs. And that is all I have. Again, thanks for everybody that showed up tonight. It was super cool to look out and see a full house for me, wearing my stupid tie and my dumb sweater. Picked a poor night to do that because there was a lot of people here that saw me in that. It's unfortunate, but no, love seeing everybody out here tonight. So thanks for showing up.
Plus we got pictures.
Yeah, plus you got pictures.
No, we don't.
Yes.
We don't.
Councilmember Fisher, staff will follow up on responding to some of those questions you've just brought up. So, yep, thank you. Councilmember Hanford.
Thank you, Mayor. I would support his request for that. Definitely for the funding for taking the next step and reorganizing things. I wanted to bring up if I could get another council member support to bring up an update maybe in the January, February timeframe on the development agreement with PUD regarding the airport property. I'd love to get like an update from staff and from the PUD themselves, like what's it looking like?
We'll have staff put something together for probably February just to give people time.
That'd be great.
Yep.
I'd love to hear from them. And I just want to say once again, as we roll into the holidays here, looking at you, Deborah, on the screen there, thank you, and the city staff for all that you do, and I really hope that you guys get some good family time and some holiday time and enjoy the time that you have. Appreciate all that you do, and as we've already talked about up here, appreciate each one of you. So wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you. Councilmember Kenny.
Thank you. I agree with everything just said by Councilmember Hanford. I appreciate at the end of the year, end of my second year here, I appreciate the work of everyone supporting us up here, and any questions we have within 2 days are answered. And everyone works hard. Everyone is improving the city day by day, and I really appreciate it. And I'm very proud to serve up here with all of you. Personally, I just spent a week in New York City and went to the United Nations, went to the 9/11 Memorial Museum, and it was very moving and sobering. And United Nations was abuzz with a lot of meetings going on, considering what's going on in Israel. So it made me sort of, it was kind of a global view of a big city brought down to a city of 20,000. But I had a different perspective as a council member being a tourist in that city. And it was very, very interesting to be there. With my role as a council member, I really was looking around at infrastructure and the police and how they were taking care of citizens and answering questions. And again, it brought it home to me that we do a great job here. Every single person, police staff, our human services people like Rachel Adams that work so hard to connect people in the community with the services that they need, and wonderful council members that help us make good decisions. And I just came home feeling very proud of what we do here in comparison to a city of millions. So that was a wonderful way to wrap up the year. On a more local note, I did attend remotely the AWC training on Saturday, and it was a good refresher course. I think Jake and Kyle, I believe, were part of that. And it was funny now that I kind of know what I'm doing a little bit more. I thought this is really good because some of it I'd forgotten. It was a great refresher for me. So last but not least, on Friday night, a group of city staff attended the Silvertips game in support of Greg Pyland, who's the announcer there, and that was great fun. So happy holidays, everyone. Proud to serve with you, and we will miss you so much, Councilmember Davis.
Thank you. Councilmember Fulcher.
In the spirit of Ed Davis, I was going to try to keep it to a minimum of words, but that's not me. So I do agree with my council members to the left here that I do think looking into what else can be done with that funding is a great idea. Even if the answer is no, we just knowledge is power, right? So every time I vacation, it's true. I think, where does the water come from? Where does the garbage go? Where's all this stuff? What about these guys? When did they do their parks? You know, that kind of stuff. It's really cool to realize how many wheels it takes to, make us whole turn. And again, I treasure all of you. You're all very, very special to me. And the staff as well. You guys are great. And Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Councilmember Gamble. Yes, I skipped you, Ed. You're last.
Yeah, I just, being the last meeting of the year, I just very grateful, thankful for everybody that's up here. I know you guys have heard it a million times, but just in the politically charged world that we live in, and you tell people you serve and they're like, are you freaking crazy? And I've said it multiple times, but I want it on the record again, especially with Mr. Davis's last day, that it's this group here in city staff and all that we interact with that has kept my faith, in this great country that we have. We've disagreed passionately on subjects before, but there is a deep, there's a lot of respect amongst council members, a deep love of the city, and we all have that in common. We may have different approaches on the way that we think we should do it or how we get there. But I've always appreciated, even if someone may have technically quote unquote lost, they didn't get their way on a vote or whatever, they move on, and we've all been there. We've all been in that seat where it's like that. And I've always appreciated how there's no subversive tactics or anything. It's just move on to the next item. And it's just a joy to work with everybody that's sitting up here at the dais and with our city staff. So greatly appreciate it. Ed, you're going to be greatly missed. If I would have been, if it wasn't the last meeting of the year, I was going to honor you by going, no report.
That's my line. All right, Councilmember Davis.
This council member would like to report that he's served this great city of Monroe for 12 years, and it's come to an end now. And I'd just like to thank everybody. Let me collect here. It's been an honor and a privilege every single day. And I've loved it, every second of it. And the reason why is the people of Monroe, the mayor, the council, the staff, and every citizen here. I've watched this city grow from, I don't know, what was it, 6,000 or 7,000 people when I first moved out here. And now we're officially over 20,000.
Yeah.
But I've loved every second of it. And I'm proud and pleased to report that I've served my 12 years and done the best that I could for you. And I thank you all for all the work that you do and all that you've given back to me. So thank you all. I'll miss you.
Thank you, Ed. Okay, we're going to now move into staff reports. Item 10.1, City Clerk Records Department, third quarter.
Everybody else is crying in the room. Jody's crying as well. So let me try and do this through my tears. So I'm going to be super brief. Just on page 4, you'll notice there were increases for all 3 months compared to the previous year related to public records. So the trend continues. And in honor of our historical Tammy Kinney, we added an extra picture of another fun find. I just thought the logo on the top of that document was so cool. They were so intricate back then. This was a receipt from 1923. Community development won the random drawing for records roundup days. Our next roundup days will be focused on email and electronic records. And on that note, since we're all saying thank you to each other and being gushy at this council meeting, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of a clerk's heart that I have been trying to do something similar to record roundup days my entire career. So having the support of the executive branch, the council, and all of my cohorts in the SLT, I'm so thrilled that this has happened, and we're just going to keep the momentum going. The last page of the report is a office month at a glance we focused on records this time. So highlighting a few of the things that we did. The big highlight of it is that you'll see other departments named throughout this month at a glance. That just shows how much Sherry works to support other departments. The public records obviously run the gamut, and she's very good at helping everybody else. The next report, we will focus on a different facet of the clerk's world, and I am open for questions.
Thank you. Any questions for our clerk? Go ahead, Councilmember Kenny.
I just really appreciate the historic documents you're finding. And of course, I saw it in the report. It was thrilled. I really appreciate that. And it's great for the city that you care about these things. Honestly, it helps us just keep this documentation complete. And, we just had our open house this weekend, and we did talk a lot about what you found and how detailed and caring you have been with these documents. So I just want to thank you. I know a lot of that comes directly from you.
Thank
you. Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you very much. Next one is Parks Department report with Director Farrell.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council members. Sound all right? All right, so in your packet is our department report for the last month. And just wanted to bring up a few items. One is, I know is mentioned a lot from those of you that attended Light Up Monroe. That was a wonderful event. I was going to thank Executive Director Janelle Drews, but she left the room. But yeah, definitely she and her organization are instrumental in making that a great event for the community. The other thing I want to update you on is the avian flu. So we've not had any deceased birds for the last couple of weeks, so that's great news. And in our contacts with Fish and Wildlife. They recommend, though, that we keep the warning signs in place through the winter, and it's more due to outbreaks in other areas of Snohomish County. So we believe that this outbreak has passed as far as at Lake Ty. And then the last thing I wanted to bring up was the flood. I believe we're fortunate that does not appear to be any significant damage in our parks. However, there still are some areas that are draining, namely in El Borland. So likely we'll have a summary report in next month's update. And then last, I just want to thank you, Councilmember Davis, for all of your contributions. And it's been a pleasure working with you and for you in serving our community. I know you're a kindred spirit in Parks and Recreation with your background. And anyways, I appreciate your support in helping us to deliver great Parks and Recreation for our community. So thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from Director Farrell? All right, thank you very much, Mike. All right, next report then is from our HS Manager Adams.
Thank you. I will keep it brief. I just want to highlight a couple items. The visit that city staff and the mayor was able to have with Congresswoman Del Benny. There's also some information about the mobile mental health program that the city has been working on with the funding that was received from Congresswoman Del Benny. That program launched in June and has been a resource for first responders. Jesse is stationed in Sultan on Wednesday and Thursday and in Monroe on Friday and Saturday, and is able to respond to calls in both cities on both days. She has served 26 unduplicated clients with a total of 113 client contacts, and is responding to calls for bullied youth, basic needs, domestic violence, emergency shelter, homelessness, psychosis, substance use, and suicidal ideations. There's also some information about our cold weather shelters in Monroe and Snohomish. Monroe's cold weather shelter in the month of November served 48 unduplicated individuals.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions? All right, thank you very much. Next item on the agenda then is City Administrator Report, Extended Agenda. Deborah?
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Council. So as far as the extended agenda, you can see that all of the upcoming meetings for the remainder of the month of December have been canceled. So that includes the December 19th, December 26th, and our first meeting in January on January 2nd. The first slide that I have in the City Administrator's report is asking Council for a motion to cancel that meeting on January 2nd because we haven't yet adopted the council calendar. So that'll be coming on the next slide. Looking forward then into 2024, it's hard to believe that we're here already and already starting to schedule items for the agenda. But for January 9th, we have on the consent agenda our regular accounts payable, meeting minutes, payroll, and then our first resolution of 2024-001, approving your council meeting calendar. And then if you can believe it, we're going to be also adopting the calendar then for the 2025-2026 budget. Under new business, we will have council seating arrangements on the dais, electing the mayor pro tem, and then the 2024 council committee assignments, and then the regular department reports. Also note, please, that the Legislative Affairs Committee in January has been canceled simply because we won't have had the committee assignments adopted yet at that time. So that's what we have to look forward to after our winter break when we return to work in 2024.
And before we move off of that slide, council members, just for your awareness, I will not be here on January 9th, 2024. So you may need to select a mayor pro tem earlier in the agenda, just for your awareness. Okay. All right. Deborah or Jody, next slide. So this is a requested motion to cancel the January 2nd meeting. Councilmember Kinney.
I move to cancel the January 2nd, 2024 Monroe City Council Public Safety Committee meeting and study session.
We have a motion from Councilmember Kenny, a second from Councilmember Fulcher for the requested action is shown on the screen. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. City Administrator report, Deborah?
The only other item I have is just to add to the earlier expressions of appreciation for the opportunity to work and serve with Councilmember Davis. It's been such a pleasure. You are always available whenever we call, whenever we need input from council, always stepping forward to serve as Mayor Pro Tem. And I still remember when you had the pleasure of having to join me in Everett at Snohomish County when we were working on the first declaration, I think, of the COVID-19 emergency. So I still have a picture of you standing up there in front. I think it was in the slideshow as well. But it's been great to serve with you. And I think when I express my appreciation, I can also say that from the staff members that were unable to be here this evening as well. So thank you for your service. It's been great to work with you.
All right. Thank you. Mayor's report. So first thing, I know that a couple of the council members here are aware, and I just want to bring this up for you just so that you can check your mailboxes, but I just, for your awareness, I ended up receiving at my personal mailbox some literature that was consistent with the public testimony that you heard on Tuesday last week. It was a postcard. I would encourage that if any one of you ends up getting that sort of material that would seem to have a connection with that meeting, to please share it with Chief Jolly. We can talk more about it offline if you'd like, but I just wanted you to be aware that I had received something, and if indeed you do, I myself would like to know. But certainly please share it with Chief Jolly for a variety of different reasons. On a happier note, Ed, I've really enjoyed working with you, and I am going to miss having you here at council. I hope that I'll still see you when we do Veterans Day and Memorial Day and things like that. You are still going to be very welcome. You are part of our family today, yesterday, and forever. So I thank you for everything. You're the Mayor Pro Tem, aren't you? Okay, well, I feel suddenly incapacitated. Can you take us out?
There you go. Oh, sorry. Having no, or if we have no other, any other questions or things that you want to bring up, now's your last chance. No? Okay, with having no other business, I officially close this meeting.
Thank you.